What is up, and welcome to another edition of the Mile High Hoops podcast. As always, I am your host, Zach Bai, and as always, I appreciate you spending a sliver of your busy day with me here on the pod, reacting to a loss on the road to the Oklahoma City Thunder, 105-100 in a game without the sun in the atmosphere and the solar system that is the Denver Nuggets. No Nikola Jokic. 105-100 loss in a game that the Nuggets actually could have won without the best player in the world. Lower back tightness was the reason why Jokic did not play in this game. It's just the second game that Jokic has missed this year. He missed a game at the end of November 27th, I believe. What was the reason for that? Lower back tightness. So while I'm not alarmed, it is something that we should keep our eye on. Jokic does not, and I was having this conversation on the radio yesterday, Jokic doesn't put himself in a lot of positions to suffer a devastating injury. I mean, knock on wood. He doesn't play above the rim, plays on the ground. So it's stuff like this that could creep up. A big man's back, right? So not overwhelmingly alarmed. I don't think there's a reason to be, but let's just keep our eye on it. The Nuggets went into Oklahoma City with a starting five of Aaron Gordon in the center spot with Peyton Watson in the front court, Michael Porter Jr., Jamal, and KCP. And look, I mean, it was an imperfect game for sure, especially offensively, where the Denver Nuggets shot just under 40% from the floor. And, where I'll start, and I don't want to get carried away reacting to a game in a vacuum without the best player in the world, but I do think there is some things that we can fairly react to, and I don't want to come across as like freaking out, sky is falling, not even close to that, because talking about the Nuggets without Jokic is like talking about the Kansas City Chiefs when Pat Mahomes doesn't play. It's just a completely different product. But there was a couple things that I just wish were different about a couple members of the Denver Nuggets. And really, it starts with wanting and needing more on a night like that from Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. These are max contract guys, okay? And you would like to think in this spot, it's just viewed as a massive challenge for the team, to rally together and try to win a game on the road. But for those guys individually to pick up more of the burden, to whom much is given, much is required. Those are, like I said, the two max level players that were available, and they didn't even come close to living up to what I kind of had penciled in my mind for what would be required to win a game without Jokic on the road in Oklahoma City. Porter was 6 for 17 for 15 points. He is just, he's in a bit of a slump, doesn't look like a confident player. And Jamal is having the best month of the year. And that's why, again, I don't want to get carried away. But it's games like this that can sometimes create that spot on your back that you can't itch with Jamal. And we've talked about it, like this is why he's not an all-star. Like we've been talking about this for probably 4 years with Jamal, having like, is this year's an all-star? No. Well, it's because he's not the same version of himself on a night-to-night basis. He lacks the NBA star consistency that someone on the other side like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has, okay? And also, like when you're asking him to shoulder this burden, I mean, Jamal played 39 minutes. Like the Nuggets really wanted to win that game. Like that's the most minutes that Jamal Murray has played this entire month, and to walk away with 16 points, it's just and it was a more physical game. Oklahoma City does have good physical defensive guard play, but I would expect a player like Jamal to find a way, and it was just disappointing. Is it a forecast of what's to come? No. Is it a sweeping judgment of what is always going to be? No. But it is a judgment from Wednesday night. And I wanted more, and I wanted a lot more. And it wasn't even close to good enough. And you would also think, like, in terms of like a personal head to head with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who, is just SGA he might be my favorite individual scorer to watch in the NBA. And if you've listened to this podcast, I am like, if you took away the Denver Nuggets and said pick your favorite NBA team, it'd be Oklahoma City. I love their personnel. I love their style of play. I love their youth, their ceiling, the way that they play together, but also each individually. So I love SGA, but to go back to the Jamal thing, like that's another Canadian guard. Like there's only a handful of you in the NBA, and I know Jamal takes that stuff personal, and I thought that he would have raised his level more than he did on Wednesday night. Unfortunately, he didn't come close to what I had in my own head forecasted out. And then the other one is Michael Porter Jr., who it's another one of these opportunities. We talked about it with what was that Clippers game? Remember when it was no Jamal, no Jokic, no Aaron Gordon? I believe all three of those guys missed a game about 2 months ago. And it's like, okay, MPJ, you are a max player too, right? That views yourself like a superstar. Another opportunity to shine. And, he just can't answer the bell. And that's why I think there's a thought out there in certain corners of Nuggets Nation, Nuggets Twitter, whatever, that it's like, hey, if MPJ was in, I don't know, pick a team. If he was a part of the Pacers, or if he was a part of, and Pacers aren't even a good example. Like if he was like on the Raptors right now, or the Hornets, or the Wizards, or the Pistons, or the Blazers, or the Spurs, like, well, that if he wasn't playing, third, fourth fiddle, he would look like, more of what some people thought he could be coming out of high school, which is like a star. And I just don't believe that. I think MPJ is in the perfect slotting for a team that's trying to contend. And that's certainly not being the best player. It's definitely not being number 2 on a title contending team. And it's not being a third option. Like, this is where we're at with MPJ. He is a 4th or maybe 5th option on a team that's trying to win. And it's just another opportunity that he did not respond to. And it can be frustrating. I mean, it can be seriously frustrating with Michael Porter Jr. because the ceiling is so real, and then he'll tease you from time to time with even flirting with the ceiling. But it's all too often where it's like, we've seen games this month. Forget the rest of the season. Just look at this month. Well, I guess now it's February, but they haven't played a game yet, so we'll look back at January. A night like last night where you play 39 minutes, most minutes he's played, by the way, this month, and 15 points on 35% shooting. It's just not good enough. 5 points against the New York Knicks, 5 points against the Indiana Pacers, 5 points against the Utah Jazz, 8 points against the Golden State Warriors. Like, you should not, in any calendar month, for a player of MPJ's caliber and the players that he has around him, that where he's able to be slotted in the true position where he is, and he shouldn't have 5 times in a month where he's finishing in single figures as a max contract guy. So it was frustrating. Not enough winning plays. Not able to corral a rebound when the game's on the line. It's just not enough. It's not good enough. And that's all there is to it in both Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr.'s regard on Wednesday night. Again, sweeping judgments moving forward? No. But does it bring up stuff from the past that comes to a head or reemerges, or however you want to phrase it? Yeah, it certainly does. What else? Aaron Gordon, I thought, was sensational. That was the one guy that truly was, I thought, fantastic. You talk about like accepting a challenge. Aaron Gordon did exactly that. 16 points, 13 rebounds, 7 assists, a steal, not 1 block, not 2, not 3, but 4 for Aaron Gordon. Just the 3rd player in the history of the Denver Nuggets to have a game with at least 16 points, 13 rebounds, 7 assists, and 4 blocks. Marcus Camby, Jokic, Aaron Gordon. That's the list. I love what I saw from Aaron Gordon. That man is a dog, even despite the loss. I don't, outside of, missing free throws, which, look, when you lose a game by 5, you do look back at missed free throws. You do look back at inability to corral a rebound. You do look back at getting a 5-second call, when the game is at its highest leverage moment of the evening. It's hanging in the balance. You do look back at a, ill-advised 3-on-1 breakaway where KCP puts it up from 3 instead of taking the layup. You look back at all that stuff when you lose a game 105-100. You can be sure. You can be very sure. KCP struggled, man. 3 of 10 shooting. It was there was some loud turnovers and some loud misses from Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. And I just, he did. Not only did he not have his best game, I thought he had one of his worst games of the season. And it wasn't like, by the way, Oklahoma City was fully stocked. They were missing Jalen Williams, who has turned into one of my favorite young players in the entire NBA. First round pick 2 years ago, I believe, out of Santa Clara. He was taken with the 12th overall pick in 2022. He's fantastic. He's like 19 points a game. Now, his younger brother is named Cody Williams and plays for Tad Boyle up in Boulder at CU. And Yahoo, the media outlet Yahoo, they came out with their mock draft for this coming NBA draft. Cody Williams up in CU, up in Colorado, they have him as the number 1 pick in the draft. Number 1 pick in the draft up in Boulder. His older brother is Jalen Williams and is a freaking dog with a capital D. I love him, ascending player rapidly. He did not play in that game. He's their second leading scorer, almost 20 a night. So it's not apples to apples with Jokic, but it was a unique opportunity to beat Oklahoma City, a team that had already beaten the Nuggets twice heading into Wednesday night. So now Oklahoma City has a 3-1 series, a lead. That the season series is over. Should these two teams be knotted up in the NBA standings, and you knock on some more wood and hope that that's not the case, but Oklahoma City would have that tiebreaker. All right, and they're a game or two apart in the standings. So is that likely to happen? No, but to think that it couldn't is naive. So that game. Low-key important on Wednesday night. A couple other notes here that I wanted to get through. 15 offensive rebounds for Oklahoma City. Oh my gosh, guys, that's just too much. That is 15 times OKC got an extra possession. That's painful. That's painful. They out-assisted Denver. Had more fast break points, less fouls. Peyton Watson, got into trouble in that department. But outside of the foul trouble, I just continue, I sound like a broken record here, episode after episode. I just continue to be so impressed with Peyton Watson. And I'm going to repeat myself from earlier in the week, but when I'm starting like a Nuggets game and just a couple things I'm looking forward to, like whether it's a matchup or a storyline or whatever, Peyton Watson is like at the top of the list every single night now. The kid is freaking, he has real potential to be an all-NBA defender. And what that could do to the Nuggets title window, I mean, if he is, one day in the starting lineup, which he's got a real shot to be over the next couple years, goodness gracious, this kid, and he is a kid, is looking like a man out there. He didn't play great offensively. It was another night where he made at least 1 3 though. And we've been talking about this. Like if you look through his game log, he went 3 straight games without making a 3 up until the Oklahoma City game. He made 1, but now you look, it's like he has made a 3 in about half of his games in January. So that's a big deal because it's not. if you look at the numbers or percentages, he's not shooting it great. But the fact that he's seeing a three go through every other night, he could, if he puts the time in and truly hones his craft, he could be the ultimate 3-and-D guy for the Denver Nuggets. And maybe another layer, given how just athletic he is and, finishing around the basket and things like that. So, and a pretty good free throw shooter as well. So really just continues to be absurdly intriguing on a night-to-night basis. I thought Christian Braun was another note that I had. Better, we've been touching on it in passing through these last few weeks. Better, okay. I thought that watching him make a couple threes, watching him be active on the glass, had a couple defensive possessions, specifically on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, that I thought was impactful and reminded me of last spring of kind of who he was on a near night-to-night basis in the NBA playoffs as a rookie. It wasn't perfect, okay? It wasn't perfect. There was a lack of finishing, a loud turnover, and again, when you lose by 5, you look back at this stuff and say what could have been. But I thought it was a good night for Christian Braun. I did. I thought it was a good night for Christian Braun. Not a good night for Zeke Naji. I don't want to dump on Zeke, but I am prepared to say I was just wrong about Zeke Naji. I really thought this guy coming out of Arizona was going to be a real cornerstone building block, potential night-to-night everyday player for a team that was competing for a championship. I thought once upon a time he could be a member of the starting lineup on a team that could win a championship. And that's, holy moly, not even in the same neighborhood of reality. He's a rough watch. And they just signed him this past, re-upped him this past offseason, extended him, and just, I don't know what they're going to do. You can't trade him. You can't. No one would take him on. Unless you want to package picks with him to get it off the books. Probably not going to do that. Probably not going to send him to the G League. That would be weird. So I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know. But I know he can't play. This is really bad. He can't play if you're trying to win. That's where we're at right now, unfortunately, with Zeke Naji. And I hope it changes because I was really bullish on Zeke. And I think it's a swing and a miss for both me and the Nuggets. My most encouraging thing about the game was the defense. I thought they played good defense collectively as a group. Individually, the zone, I thought it was mostly effective. That was, I think, what I was most encouraged by. Holding Oklahoma City to 105 points at home is a nothing to shake a stick at. And then, before we get out of here, it's like, depending on how you want to look at this, right? It's like, this is an ascending team playing at home. You're without your best player. You almost won the game. That's the good news, So it's not all doom and gloom. I do like. In fact, I love the Nuggets' chances if they matched up with Oklahoma City this year in the playoffs with a healthy Jokic. I think they would. Not say have no problem, because I think OKC might win a game, maybe 2, but not 4. Not 4. Now, in a year or two, this is a team that, and two things can be true at the same time. I don't think the Oklahoma City Thunder would truly get in the way this year of a championship run, but they may have a chance to disrupt the arc of the next 4 or 5 years of Denver. I am that impressed with this organization and this group and the talent that they have collected, the way that they have developed the talent, and the pipeline of picks that they have waiting in future years. It's insane. Do they keep drafting players? Don't know. Do they package picks for another star and truly try to make a run at it? That would be my guess. Let's watch out for the Oklahoma City Thunder in years to come. This year, we'll see. Years to come, if they're a stock, I'm buying it. Okay. Last thought before we get out of here. None of this works without Nikola Jokic. None of it. Jamal Murray's not a number 1 on a team trying to compete for a championship. Aaron Gordon's not a number 2 on a team trying to compete a championship. Michael Porter Jr. at this stage probably not a number 3 on a team that's trying to compete for a championship. But if everyone bumps down a slot and you have the greatest player in the world, now we're talking about title favorites, right? But none of it works without Jokic. It's like looking, I'll finish where I started. It's like looking at the Milky Way or the solar system without the sun. There's not enough power generated to make this thing go without Jokic. So that a Wednesday night, that was just another reminder of something that we kind of already know to be true, but gets validated when you watch it play out. All right, guys, we're going to leave it there for now. The Nuggets have the Portland Trailblazers on Friday. Then they have the Portland Trailblazers on Sunday in one of these new, it used to be home, then you play them away. They used to call it home and home. Play them in Denver, play them in Portland back-to-back. Last year they started it. They're playing them home. They're playing them home. Kind of weird. I wish they would have made one of them a matinee. I would have bring my son again, but it's 7 o'clock on Friday. It's 6 o'clock on Sunday night, maybe 6:30 even. And I expect them to fully take care of business after I watch Portland upset Milwaukee in Dame Lillard's return to Portland, which was fun. Okay, guys, we're going to leave it there for now. Nuggets are going to be just fine. I think Jokic is going to be just fine. And whatever happens on Friday and Sunday over the weekend, we'll be back on Tuesday talking about it right here.